What's up guys, big welcome to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. You are with Faklis, and today I would like to share with you guys the new and latest structure deck that will be used for Overdress, which is the Brandt Gate Nation used by Tomari Seto in the anime. This is very interesting and I'm very hyped for this set. As you know from the videos, I am a Grand Blue fan, but Toekeya decided to just go on with Great Nature. And this one, Brandt Gate, even though this one doesn't have a lot of Link Joker aesthetics, it has definitely, in my opinion, the Dimension Police aesthetic, at least the magical girls. So I'm quite excited, and I really want to know what the prison mechanic do, because it was hinted for us already when they revealed the structure deck. So let's just jump right into it. So this is the 5th structure deck, which is the last one, and it says just imprison your opponent's units, and we all thought it was going to be lock or something like that. They already told us that it will have a lot of armored female units. And this is the grade 3, the Aurora Battle Princess Seraph Snow. I like the art, very police, and it's the waifu deck, and the waifu aesthetic really hits in my opinion, at least from my taste. Now we'll have the arts connecting to make something like this, the heal trigger you see and the critical trigger, as well as the starter. But we'll get into the grade 1, 2, 3 later on. And here are the what the deck consists of, 50 cards, and you will see that we only have 8 grade 3s, 4 of the structure deck cover and another one, and a little bit more grade 2s, and only 1 new grade 1, which is very interesting. We will also have an order, which is the grade 1 order, which I will get into a little bit later. Now let's just jump right into what Bushido revealed to us for the prison mechanic. So what it is exactly is with this new order card, which is Galaxy Central Prison Galactus. So it's a grade 1 order card, and it is a set order. Now set order is essentially a continuous spell, if you want to compare it to Yu-Gi-Oh or a field spell. So essentially this will be the playmat for Overdress, and you see here the place where you would play the set order, and it will stay there. I think it would be forever until the end of the game. I'm not sure how it would interact if there are multiple set orders. For example, if you play one and what if the opponent plays one, will it destroy the other? Not completely sure, because this is also the only set order we have at the moment. So what it does, it has multiple skills. So it has a cost. When you want to play it, you have to rest one of your units. You have to have one standing unit in play when you play it on the main phase. And it has an auto skill. When you play it on the order zone, you soul charge 3, giving you valuable soul if you want to soul blast. And it has a continuous skill on the order zone. So when your opponent can normal call a rear guard, they can perform the following. If they play one soul blast, they can call an imprison card and call it to the rear guard. If they play a counter blast, they can call 2 imprison card and call them to the rear guard. So this, in my opinion, is a form of a nice control mechanic, because it doesn't exactly retire when you imprison something. They have the resources to, well, the ability to call the units that got imprisoned, but they have to call they have to use their resources, which can be very valuable, very restricting a lot of plays for your opponent, which makes, at least in my opinion, this deck seems to be a very control deck. I think we will see what I mean when we go over the grade 1, 2s and 3s. So the idea, I think, is just to restrict your opponent as much resources as possible. So Bushido also released a lot of Q&As about how this prison mechanic works. So for example, one of the questions was, if there's only the order card in the order zone, can I place only one card from the opponent? No, you can imprison multiple cards. So if there are effects that imprison one of your opponent's cards and then you want to imprison more, you can just stack it and put them in the order zone. You don't need to have multiple order cards to imprison multiple cards. Also, another question: when calling from prison, can you perform a Soul Blast to and then pay a counter blast? Yes, you can, as long as the condition is met, which is when they can normal call. So when they basically on their main phase, as long as they can pay the cost, they can call something out and unlock their imprisonment. And this is also a form of superior calling, so it can call a unit regardless of the grade of the Vanguard, and this will also of course then trigger unplaceability. So it's a bit tricky. It's not as good as locking. It's not even comparable. I would compare it to binding, although a bit weaker, because if you look back into G, especially in the after image Nubatama, there is a lot of binding and returning cards back to hand, while this one is making sure that the card stays there, but the opponent has the ability to take them back if they want to. So it's very interesting and quite unique, which is what I like about this new Brandt gate mechanic so far. And can you place multiple orders? A set order in the order zone? Yes, you can. Even if you have already a set order, you can still play set orders. So as I said, you can play another one to Soul Charge 3. That would be the advantage of doing so. And this is a specific question: is Vairina, which was the grade 2 of the Dragon Empire, the one that can go overdressed, if it went to the prison with the original dress, what happens? So what happens is it will move in together with the grade 0, the Trickstar, and then the overdressed state will be removed when they come back, and then they will be imprisoned as separate copies. So there are two separate cards. The opponent can, if they want to, call them back separately. Of course, when they call them at the same time, then you cannot really perform overdress. So this will be interesting how that would play out. I think in overdress it will be rather simple, a form of locking opponents of resources, but also just reducing their advantage as much as possible. And if they want to get them back, then they have to pay for calling everything back. So that was more about the mechanic. Now we can go on to the units that was revealed: the police, the waifus. So the first is the grade 1. It's 2 skills. When it's placed on V, search your deck for up to 1 prison card and reveal it into your hand and shuffle your deck. So far, the prison card, I believe it's only the set order, but could be that we will get more cards that can be searched, maybe an order or maybe a unit. Will be very interesting. This has a lot of possibilities, and it has an unplace on rear guard. If there is already one or more of your opponent's cards imprisoned in the prison, you can pay the cost by counterblasting 1 and Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. Just free advantage. You have the soul from the soul charge, and this is one use of your counterblast, which is very, very good. The second card is Battle Princess Risat Pink. This is the grade 2. Also has 2 skills. When it's placed on V, the opponent chooses a card from their hand and imprison it in your prison. This is very, very interesting because then you reduce the amount of shield they have, so it's very powerful. And when they put it into the prison, and then when they want to take the card out of prison, they have to call it to the rear guard, so they cannot return it back to the hand. And yes, that means if they cannot just put anything random there, because if they put, for example, a trigger, then they would lose a lot of shield. And also if they call it, it doesn't have that much value, as it doesn't have a lot of power or effects, at least so far we know. So this is a very powerful skill, although unfortunately only on place on V. It also has a continuous skill. If one or more of your opponent's cards are in your prison, it gets power plus 2000. This is on any opponent's turn, so this will likely be 12k almost all the time, because the only way for them to get cards out of the prison is to pay with their valuable Counterblast and Soul Blast. Very restrictive, very control aspect, which I really like. Then the boss monster, Princess Seraph Snow, the grade 3 waifu herself. It has 2 skill, 1 in V, continuous during your turn. If one or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, it gets 10,000. And if there are 3 or more, it gets an extra drive. So this is a 23k on Vanguard with triple drive. This is, I would say, very easy to pull off, the imprisonment, because you have the grade 1, you also have the grade 2, then you also have this grade, the second skill, which will help you push the 3 cards being imprisoned. And it also gives this dynamic where you deny them resources, but you gain a lot of advantage because of the extra drive, triggers, units. So I think this really helps well when you want to really go into the controlling sort of gameplay, more restricting and less aggro. And the second skill on VNR, once per turn you can play Counterblast, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards and put them to prison. So you pseudo retire 2 cards, and if they want them back, they have to pay up. As a police, then that means they would just bail their friends out of prison by paying us with valuable resources. I like this a lot. And so far, Brandt seems to have a very interesting mechanic, which I think was never really done in Vanguard before. Of course, this is just the beginning. I do hope that other plays would come, especially with Link Joker is also part of Brandt. Will they follow the same sort of playstyle? Maybe not prison, but a different sort of control aspect. That is something that hopefully we'll see soon enough. Now, of course, overdressed cards can be played in premium. Now, in premium, this gives some interesting deck building choices. For example, like in a Dimension Police sort of deck, then you can make this situation where you keep imprisoning cards, but it's also hard for the opponent to take counterblast from you, because you always hit with a lot of crit or a lot of power that can really just kill them if they take damage. So they have to be really careful, and they will keep attacking you if they don't do an OTK turn, for example, which means you can lock them out of their resources. So this has some uses, although maybe not so much. It's also pretty nice that the fact for example, in a Dimension Police Styliner build, you can sort of play this grade 3, and if you want to, you can play the Order card as well, so that you can have the prison mechanic while also having shields, because it's still a grade 3, which can be splashed into a Dyliner build, which is, I would say, pretty funny. In other Stargate decks, I'm not really sure into Nova Grappler. For Link Joker, I think it will be a very hard one to fit, because if you want to limit resources, you can already have Chaos for that, and I think locking is much stronger compared to this, so it is an option. But nothing really stood out so far, aside from the fact that in a Dyliner deck this can still work, although the prison might be hard to pull off, but it is a possibility if you want to sort of make that mix of a deck, because then it gives the Dyliner deck a control option and a resource resource control option, because then they will likely not have a lot of counterblasts because of your high crits, and then they just have to rely on soul. Not a lot of decks not most decks need counterblast, but if they don't have it, sometimes they can get around it with soul. But this essentially means you cannot, if I prison something from your field, then you can't get it back. for the slower games, it's very interesting. So I'm looking forward to, yeah, what sort of reveal we're going to have next. I think this is a very interesting start deck if you want to have a very more controlled playstyle compared to the aggro just unga bunga swing face. This is a much more slow paced, deprive them of their resources, make them make it harder for them to play so that you can make better plays and just swing like that. So well, that was it from me for this structure deck. Hopefully we'll have more information on the other aesthetics of the nations, not just for Brandt Gate, but for everything else. For me especially, I need the Grand Blue aesthetics back and Aqua Force from Stoicheia, but I will be definitely looking forward to what Brandt Gate has to offer because of Link Joker and Dimension Police. That's all it from me. Valkyrie is signing out, and see you next time.